Hello and welcome. I'm Asuma Katauka and you're watching Primetime Asia on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the hot headlines today. LDP leader Sanai Takaichi has decided not to visit the World War II shrine in Tokyo. As the uncertainty over her being appointed as the Prime Minister grows, Takaichi became LDP leader on October 4th, but her aim to become Japan's first female Prime Minister was derailed after LDP's coalition partner of 26 years, Komeito Party, pulled the plug on their alliance last week. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said that Pakistan is ready for dialogue if Afghanistan fulfilled Islamabad's justified conditions following the recent cross-border hostilities between the two sides. Japan's lower house will vote on October 21st to select the next prime minister. LDP leader Sanai Takaichi seeks coalition support, potentially becoming the country's first female prime minister. Upcoming diplomatic events include summits in Malaysia, South Korea, and a U.S. President Trump's visit. The Kremlin has said that many questions must be resolved before a planned Putin-Trump summit in Hungary, while Russia has claimed new battlefield gains in eastern Ukraine, announcing the capture of Pishchane and Taiki in Kharkiv and Privilya in Dnipropetrovsk, areas Ukraine had recaptured 3 years ago. Greek authorities have found the bodies of 2 women on the island of Chios after a makeshift boat carrying 29 migrants met with an accident today. The tragedy highlights the ongoing danger of migrant crossings in the Aegean Sea. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that he expects the momentum from the Middle East peace deal to help end Russia and Ukraine war, as he prepares to meet Trump to discuss Tomahawk missiles and additional U.S. defense support. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that India would halt Russian oil purchases, while Britain has imposed sanctions on major Russian firms and Chinese energy assets. India and China remain key buyers of discounted Russian crude, but India may reduce imports from December. Iran's Supreme National Security Council Chief Ali Larijani has met with President Vladimir Putin in Moscow to discuss bilateral relations and cooperation following the recent strategic partnership treaty between the two countries. Now for this hour, we start with Japan. The new head of Japan's ruling party, Sanai Takaichi, has sent an offering but avoided visiting the controversial war shrine, Yasukuni Shrine, a move that has been appreciated by China. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian has called on Japan to confront and reflect on its history of aggression and exercise caution in its words and actions on historical issues such as the Yasukuni Shrine. Let's listen in.
我们敦促日方正视并反省侵略历史，在靖国神社等历史问题上谨言慎行，同军国主义彻底切割，坚持走和平发展道路，以实际行动取信于亚洲邻国和国际社会。
The Japanese LDP leader has reportedly said that she would stay away in order not to upset Japan's neighbors, and has opted to send flowers to the shrine honoring Japan's fallen soldiers, including some 1,066 war criminals convicted of various crimes committed during World War II. While she has visited the shrine in the past, including as a minister in the Japanese government, she opted out of making an appearance at the opening day of an autumn festival being organized in the shrine. Past visits by top leaders to the Yasukuni Shrine have drawn sharp criticism from the likes of Russia, China, North and South Korea. China has previously cut off diplomatic communication with Tokyo. During the tenure of former Prime Minister Junhiro Junichiro Koizumi, who made private visits to the shrine every year in his 5-year-long tenure as the Japanese Prime Minister. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Andrew K.P. Long. He's a China strategist, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you very much, Andrew, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at this news, how do you think Sanai Takaichi's decision to send an offering instead of visiting Yasukuni Shrine reflects the sensitivity, also given her past visits to the shrine? How much of this latest decision what do you think appears to be strategic diplomacy, or do you think it's a genuine policy shift?
The relationship between China and Japan has remained fraught for the Nakasone Shrine. We go to upon their houses class a Japanese court war criminals in the sense that Japan has never openly apologized for transgressions in the Second World War. This is quite unlike Germany, because after Germany's defeat, the new German Chancellor, Willy Brandt, quickly, openly knelt down in public and apologized for the Nazi regime transgressions and restored the world's respect for the West Germany. But Japan has never apologized at all to neither to China nor to other countries, including those in Southeast Asia and other countries, for its war transgressions. And now this Japanese Prime Minister, Takaichi, has been known as the China hawk throughout her political career. She's very, very anti-China. Now, this latest move is highly political in also a sense that, well, she can manage the relationship with China better, but is unlikely to change her anti-China's hawkish attitude, particularly of Japan's close alliance with the United States. That the United States was using Japan to coerce and confront China. So I think that this is part of the dynamics.
Right. And Andrew, now given this, how do you think U.S. sees Japan's historical tensions with China and Korea, especially over issues like war memory and shrine visits, as a potential obstacle to regional cooperation and security frameworks like the one that they share, like Quad?
Well, Japan is unlikely to give up its partnership with the United States because Japan relies on American for a lot of the outlet by the United States. And of course, there are American forces stationed on Japanese soil, including those in the first island chain, center in Okinawa, the second island chain, second Guam, and also using Japan as a pawn together with South Korea now and with Australia to contain China in the for the South China Sea. So this, I don't think that this is unlikely to change the dynamics. So that the latest apparent political olive branch to offer not to visit the Nakasone Shrine by this new Japanese Prime Minister is apparently really a political show. It doesn't mean that it's going to change sports because of the deep-seated anti-China hawkishness and Japan's long-established military and other alliances with the United States to contain and confront China.
With that, I would like to thank Andrew K.P. Long for joining us as a China strategist and sharing that insight. Thank you, Andrew. Now we move on to our next news. The Dutch government has said that it is in discussions with Chinese authorities about the export controls applied at the Chinese facilities of chipmaker Nexperia. The Dutch Economy Minister Vincent Krijmans has said in a statement that the situation regarding the Nexperia facilities in China, where export control measures have been applied, naturally has their full attentions. He has added that they are in discussions about resolving this matter with the Chinese authorities as well as other relevant European governments and businesses. This comes after China has blocked Nexperia's chip exports from the country and has tightened export controls for critical rare earth metals, citing national security interests. Nexperia is a global Chinese semiconductor manufacturer, headquartered in the city of Nijmegen in the Netherlands and was recently nationalized by the Dutch government. Now for this discussion, we go back to Andrew K.P. Long. He's a China strategist, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you, Andrew, for staying with us. Now, how does this China's decision to block Nexperia's chip exports and tighten its control on rare earth metals reflect its broader geopolitical tensions and reasons around technological sovereignty, as well as their national security?
There's a lot of smoke and mirrors involved in this. So Xperia is in fact a Chinese-owned company operating in the Netherlands. It's exporting chips. Perhaps not the highest end, but in some of the mostly used chips around the world. And then the chief executive, of course, is China's national. A few days before, the United States has warned that as long as the chief executive of this company remains, it seems to be a problem for the United States. Because the United States is now in a all-out war, technological war, chip war against China. Now, this chief executive is now was recently indicted by the Netherlands government for transgressions, including falsely exporting or importing a lot of chips from China, much more. Many times more than it needed, only to enable those chips to go to waste. Now, this is a very strange behavior, considering this chief executive is a Chinese national, responsible to his Chinese parent company. So there's a lot of smoke and mirrors involved, in the sense that these may be excuses to remove this chief executive and to confiscate or nationalize this Chinese company, again, as a further move to confront and contain China's technological advance. Now, China's response is to ban the export of a lot of chips from its production base in China to this Dutch company in order to starve it off of oxygen, because after all, if, some of the components, some of the material, a lot of the materials, including rare earth elements, come from China. So this is China's response. But
Yes.
the apparent reason about transgressions, the worry about the United States about the nationality of the Chinese executive, the nationalization of this company, and then the ongoing chip war between the United States and China are there to explain what's actually going on in this saga.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for joining us and sharing that insight. Thank you. That was Andrew K.P. Long as a China strategist. Now we move on to our next news. Tensions continue to mount between Afghanistan and Pakistan amid reports of attacks along the Afghan-Pakistan border. Smoke was seen rising from an area close to the front lines on the Pakistani side, where several Pakistani soldiers were reportedly killed. Pakistani security officials have said that a suicide attack was carried out in a military compound in Mir Ali city of North Waziristan. Reports indicate that 7 Pakistani soldiers were killed after an explosive-laden vehicle rammed into the wall of the military camp. This development comes as the temporary ceasefire between the Afghan Taliban and Pakistan is set to expire at 13-hour GMT on Friday. Meanwhile, a Pakistani foreign ministry spokesperson has held a press briefing where he has accused the Taliban regime of attempting to divert attention from the presence of terror elements in Afghanistan. Let's in fact listen into what the Pakistani spokesperson has said.
Pakistan strongly rejects assertions and insinuations by the interim Afghan foreign minister in India to divert attention from the presence of terrorist elements in Afghanistan. By making these baseless assertions, the Taliban regime cannot absolve itself of its responsibilities towards regional peace and stability.
After Pakistan struck facilities of the Taliban Pakistan or TTP, reports emerged claiming that TTP leader Nur Wali Mahsood has been killed. However, he later appeared in a video from an unidentified location. In the released video, the TTP leader can be seen riding mules with other armed fighters. Now for this discussion, we're joined by retired Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. He's a former Indian ambassador, joins us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how is this deteriorating security situation along the Afghan-Pakistan border likely to affect regional stability, especially with the temporary ceasefire set to expire soon?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's an important question. The ceasefire that was held and is likely to expire in a short while, 6 p.m. Pakistan time, was brokered by Saudi Arabia and Qatar to initiate bilateral dialogue between Afghanistan and Pakistan for a permanent ceasefire and cessation of hostilities. But it didn't seem to have achieved that purpose. And the hostilities have simmered on, as you mentioned, and there is a real danger that once the ceasefire expires in about 15 minutes' time, the hostilities may resume. And Pakistani Prime Minister and Defense Ministers have both made strong pitches, mostly aimed at domestic audience, to claim that the country seemed to be under an alleged plot hatched together by India and Afghanistan's Taliban government, whose foreign minister had just returned from a 6-day visit to India. India has officially denied it, stating that Pakistan is up to its old tricks to insinuate such things, where the reality is that itself acts as a hub for international terror in the region. So one would like to return to your question, saying that regional stability is likely to be adversely impacted if Pakistan and Afghanistan relations get back to tensions and active hostilities. I think this is another source of tension that the region can do without. Let's hope that it does not happen. Both countries have strong reasons not to let it happen. Afghanistan is a landlocked country, and it depends on Pakistan for vital supplies such as foodstuff, medicines, overseas trade and almost entire exports of it to India and other countries of the world. Pakistan, on the other hand, is battling TTP in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa area, and those are Pashtun ethnic tribals who are up against Pakistani army and police establishment. And it knows that if it takes strong arm action across the Durand line, the 2,600-kilometer border may become alive, and Taliban could easily supply and encourage TTP to work to destabilize Pakistan.
Yes.
So those are the possibilities.
Yes.
That would prevent this from escalation beyond a limit.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you. And now we stay in the region. In a significant diplomatic development, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya has met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. Today, Modi has warmly welcomed her, emphasizing that her visit would provide fresh momentum to multi-faceted ties between India and Sri Lanka. The two leaders have focused on strengthening collaboration in fields such as education, technology, innovation, development, cooperation, and the welfare of fishermen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has reaffirmed India's commitment to working closely with Sri Lanka. He has also conveyed warm wishes to President Dissanayaka, expressing hope for continued engagements between the two countries. Recalling his state visit to Sri Lanka in April this year, Modi had highlighted his productive discussions with the Sri Lankan president. Now for this discussion, we go back to former Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for staying with us. Now, what are the interests for India, and why does it aim to advance through? What does it aim to advance through this its renewed engagement with Sri Lanka?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is another important regional development, and for once, it's a positive development from both Sri Lankan and Indian perspective. It denotes the growing cordiality between New Delhi and Colombo on bilateral issues as well as around the regional issues, and the two countries are getting increasingly closer after India helped Sri Lanka to avoid an economic catastrophe during the past 3 or 4 years. I think Prime Minister Modi's visit in April this year created a solid benchmark for growth of these relations, and Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya visit to India is something that will take it further. I should note here that Prime Minister of Sri Lanka was actually educated at a Hindu college, and she is an educationist, Hindu college in New Delhi, that is, and she is an educationist, so no surprises that her meeting with Indian Prime Minister focused on collective collaboration between India and Sri Lanka in the area of education, etc. Those social issues are important as Sri Lanka tries to heal the wounds of its long civil war as well as ethnic divide between Tamils, Sri Lankans, and Muslims. Sri Lanka's economy is on the mend, and India's assistance in this regard is proving to be crucial. So we do hope that India-Sri Lanka axis would continue to work well and would energize the two countries to further synergy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, for joining us and sharing that insight. Now we move on to our next news. Indonesia's military has said that it has killed 14 Papuan fighters during an operation to free a village from the control of separatists this week, and residents had welcomed its troops. The Free Papua movement has fought for independence since the area was brought under the Indonesian control during Dutch rule in a vote overseen by the United Nations in 1969. Papua is one of the poorest regions in Indonesia despite being rich in resources such as natural gas, copper, and gold. According to Papua military, the Indonesian troops had moved towards the village of Songgama at night and had a firefight with a group of 30 separatists. Meanwhile, Sebi Sambom, a spokesperson for the Papua separatists, has stated that the Indonesian military had killed a total of 15 people, including 12 civilians and 3 of its members. Sambom has also called the killings as unlawful. Now we move on to our next news. The U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that he has expected an expansion of the Abraham Accord soon and hopes Saudi Arabia will join the pact that has normalized diplomatic relations between Israel and some Arab states. President Trump has stated that he hopes to see Saudi Arabia go in and he hopes to see others go in as well. The United Arab Emirates and Bahrain have signed the accords in 2020 during Trump's first term in the White House, breaking a long-standing taboo to become the first Arab states to recognize Israel in a quarter century. President Trump, who has convened Muslim and European leaders in Egypt to discuss the future of the Gaza Strip, has presented his plans to end the war in Gaza as the catalyst for a wider regional peace settlement. And that's a wrap on Primetime Asia. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.